right, so welcome back to another episode of the Million Dollar Dream $20 Budget Podcast. Tonight's setup is a little bit different. I do not have my co host Dwayne Bretcher with me tonight, but I do have a guest, and it's a man that needs no introduction to about 750,000 subscribers who have helped to amass this man over 205 million views on his YouTube channel. The guy is an amazing guitarist that makes everything he plays look easy, and it kind of pisses me off because I'm over here breaking fingers trying to play it, and he's reading books and things while playing. He's got an amazing website for guitarists, whether you're a beginner, whether you're an expert, whether you want to learn metal, classic rock, anything you can think, all the way down to music theory and ear training. This gentleman is by far one of the most in-depth guitar teachers I've ever seen. So tonight, from Guitar Lessons and GuitarLessons365.com, Mr. Carl Brown is going to be joining me for a little Q&A for the guitar folks out there in listening land. How you doing, Carl?
Great, man. Appreciate you having me.
Well, again, thank you for giving me the time of day. Especially, I know you've got to be swamped with all the videos and things of that nature.
Like, yeah, well, I mean, a quiet time over here because it's really, we kind of shut down the video filming for about 2.5 weeks because the editor is on vacation. So, like, we don't really have anything to do. So I'm just kind of coming up with the lesson ideas, but not filming them and practicing golf. That's pretty much it.
Now, I can get down with that one. I can get down with that. My wife's, every time she does the laundry, she's either pulling out a handful of guitar picks or a handful of golf tees. And she's just looking at me like, you can't empty your pockets? I tried. But all right, well, let's get right into it, man. How old were you when you started playing? Or, well, before that, can you give a little backstory on when Guitar Lessons 365 got started and what motivated you to want to do something like Guitar Lessons 365?
The first lessons I put up were in December of 2009, so we're almost 10 years, and it really just kind of almost unfortunate circumstance why I did it at all. That's all I've done. I was teach guitar for a living since I was 17. So, I had already been doing this. I was in my mid 30s and it was 2008 and the whole economy just tanked. And I was, trying to survive in LA, just teaching guitar. And,
everybody in LA is a rock star, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I taught some rock star kids, but for a majority of the people I took from, it kind of hit them hard. So, the first thing they take away is the kids' music lessons and stuff. So it kind of hit my business pretty hard, and I was scrambling to try to survive. So I tried to, I don't want to have a real job or anything, so I
hate mine.
Yeah. So I like being independent, being a boss. I just was like, you know what? Figure out. I'll try to learn how to build websites or something and get that stuff. So I took some classes and learned how to build, database-driven websites and stuff. And I did all of them. And then, about a year into it, I was like, you know what? So that was 2008, and through 2009, towards the end of 2009, I was like, why don't I just build my own website and
go for the guts.
Yeah, start trying to promote myself or whatever. So that's kind of where it started. And YouTube back then was a completely different ball game than it is now.
Thinking back to 2009, I mean, I can remember YouTube in 2009, but I think it was one of those things that just came on your phone and you just kind of overlooked it. Because I don't think anybody in 2009, and I mean that takes a lot of guts on your behalf. I mean, it was a fairly new platform around then. It feels like to me, but I could be wrong. I don't understand computers.
Yeah, there was guys that were. That's kind of where there was guys already doing it. Justin Sanico and Marty, and they were already up there, hitting it hard, and they had huge followings. So I came kind of a few years after, especially I think Justin was probably the first one to really. He probably, I don't know. I think YouTube started in 2006. He probably started uploading videos day one, so
Right.
he got a big jump on all of us. But yeah. I mean, but yeah, it was a different world back then. Actually, you mentioned the subscriber. You're referring to the song lesson channel of mine,
Yes.
which the other channel, which has a couple 100,000 subscribers and 25 million views. That's just like basic technique stuff. It's not something I put a lot of work in as much as the song lesson channel. But that was actually the first channel,
Really?
because you couldn't release song lessons back then. So
Copyright deal, I assume.
yeah.
Okay.
So that really wasn't until like 2012 we could really do it. So I didn't really start posting a lot of songs on YouTube until a few years later, and that song lesson channel really started. I mean, I created the channel, and had a couple little things on there, but I didn't really start lessons until like 2012 or late 2011. I can't remember when it was actually allowed. So,
Well,
so
then
from there,
I need to take my foot out of my mouth. This gentleman has damn near 1 million subscribers between his two channels. I'm not going to shortchange you. I just wanted to clear that up in 225 million views. So not
or
not to shortchange you.
That's okay.
So I mean, what does it take to create such a success between the YouTube channels and the website as well? Because I'm a member of the website, and just the mass amounts of things on the website alone, I'm like, when does this guy sleep? I mean, there's lessons on absolutely everything on your website. Now, I know a lot of it, goes between the website and the YouTube channel, but I'm like,
Hmm.
this is a lot of stuff. Like, a whole
Yeah.
lot.
It's the whole thing about it is just persistence. It's if I did all that stuff in 6 months, it'd be pretty intense workload.
Oh, yeah.
Over the course of 10 years, it's still I think on YouTube total, I think we have, I don't know, maybe 1,500 videos, and then the Academy, which is my guitar school that I have
Right.
on my website. It's the GL365 Academy. That has we've started way later. That's a newer thing, but we've got about 600 videos in there, which is all my guitar courses. And so,
I believe I just lost you.
uh, I guess to a point of it, it is a job, but at the same time, it's
But do you
kind of
really
hard
have to
to find a
work
better one.
if you enjoy
Yeah,
what you're doing?
yeah, and it's about enjoying the. I tell the same thing with people when they talk about, 'cause that's pretty much my job. Main job is answering emails all day, but
My
it's
bad.
yeah, no, that's cool. But it's just like people ask for practice. Let's do this here. The main thing that I try to get across to anything is you have to learn to enjoy the process. I mean, obviously, if I really wanted to sit down and go, man, this is such a drag. Why are we having to get all these camera angles? Why did it change every time we sit down? Why does the lighting change? What is going on? And it's if I worried, I'm just kind of stressed about all that stuff, which I'm human, I do at times, but you get frustrated. But then you realize, when I leave the house and I go and I see, guys, digging ditches or
Right.
whatever, I'm like, okay, yeah,
Never mind.
I've got it pretty. Yeah, I'm all right.
But and that's one thing that because I said in the email, I've been a musician and a producer my entire life. I was never a really great guitarist. My dad, growing up, he was an amazing guitarist. He was a miserable guitar teacher, so I drifted towards drums and other things. But that's one thing that drew me to your videos was the different angles. and the different, you can see where your hands are at clearly. You can see the pick patterns clearly. And I want to point one other thing out to the listeners who may not have seen your videos yet, or who may not know who you are yet, but I'm hoping to help change some of that. Um, he keeps Carl keeps referring to we, but now he did say he has a video editor. That's another person, yes, but it is him alone by himself doing all of these lessons. So all of these 1,500 videos and this other 600 videos, every single one of them is this gentleman in front of the camera by himself, which is amazing.
Yeah, it would be hard to do. I appreciate it. It would be hard. The first 4 years, I did everything on my own, which you can tell a big difference in our videos back then. Or, well, they were my videos at the time, and I was just working, just putting up videos, mostly on YouTube because the Academy wasn't there yet.
Right.
And so I would, put up and, film it myself with a camera with a mirror behind it, so I could see what the camera's seeing, and then, edit it and throw it up on, and do the website, do the web work and stuff. But things were a lot smaller then. And then, when I say my editor, I kind of put, he's my identity. So
I think you broke up right there. I missed that part.
The editor is actually my identical twin brother, Ted. So
okay.
He's a musician too. He's a drummer, and
I read that on something. I can't recall what.
Yeah. He's whenever you see the live events on YouTube and you see actually somebody typing, I mean, most people are in those every week and they know it's Ted that's the one typing, because obviously I can't do that while I'm like fiddling around with a guitar on a live event. So most people know him, know he's there.
Right.
But yeah, but he came on board to help as just a video editor. The quality really got much better. That's when you see all those multiple angles, and then we're all kind of upgrading the gear. But we kind of decided, let's do this together. We have all of our musical ventures that we've tried, bands, playing out in shows in Vegas and all that stuff. We always kind of did it together, moving cross country multiple times.
Right.
So I just decided, this guitar lesson thing online seems to be the only thing of all that stuff that is actually working out. So you want to come in with this, and then we just make it better together?
Hey, I mean,
that's pretty much how.
Family business.
Yep.
I mean, if you get mad at your business partner, don't throw mama jokes or anything. But, I mean, that's cool that, because I mean, I'd read somewhere, I can't remember, it may have been on your Instagram or something, that you and your twin brother had just moved out to LA in early to mid 90s, I believe.
2000 is when we actually moved.
Okay. Okay, then it may have just been a trip out to LA, or something in the mid 90s. I believe you said that was during your metal stage.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, we all have stages in life. But all right, so you work with your identical twin brother on the videos, and you work with him as far as to promote the business and to do things like that. So that's definitely cool. I know I could not put up with my sister long enough to talk to her, let alone run a successful business. But what is it that motivates you to want to teach people? Because that, I know, like, I'm trying to teach my wife to golf, and my wife is a teacher, and I know teaching can be just a painstaking process. What is it about helping people learn that, or just in general, what motivates you to put all of this together, most of which is free on YouTube, to help people learn?
Well, first I think it probably just comes back to me. I'm one of those lifelong students, and I always, it doesn't matter if it's music, it doesn't matter if it's learning a new skill, golf or a language, or I love learning. I don't like school. I love learning.
Oh, I'm the
So
same way.
yeah, and so it comes from that. So over the years, obviously, someone you need a job of doing something, but um, when I was 17, I was pretty much just a rock guitar player, a shredder
Right.
guy, and I went in and tested out. I heard, I barely just had graduated high school, and the owner of the store offered me a teaching gig on the spot. So I got really lucky, and within a few months I had a really nice teaching gig. But the people that you come in the door, someone want to learn blues and want to learn some country licks. I mean, it was in North Carolina. I mean, it was like bluegrass. I mean, it's just everything. So I had to kind of quickly learn to adapt and figure out
Hey, Carl,
what's
you're
going
you're
on with.
kind of breaking up a little bit. The last part that I got clearly was bluegrass, growing up in North Carolina, and then you kind of
So
started
you'll
breaking up a little.
All right, you want me to start that whole, just answer the whole thing again,
You're
or
you're good. It was just a brief little bit there at the end. I can edit around it.
okay,
So if you want to pick up around people coming in for wanting to learn the
okay,
blues and things.
okay. All right, so yeah, I mean, so people would come in and want to learn, all these different styles of music, like blues and, uh, it's in North Carolina, so there's like bluegrass and country music
Right.
and jazz. So I mean, these are a lot of styles. At the time, I was actually studying jazz with actually the teacher that I shared a studio with him. So um, I would take a lesson from him, and then he'd walk out, and then the students would come in, and I'd teach more students. But so I was learning about all this stuff too, kind of because I had to.
Right.
But it was interesting to me, even though it wasn't music that if I put out a solo album, it would be
It's not
a
something
country
you're
album.
specifically interested in,
Yeah,
but the knowledge overall is a good thing to have.
yeah, and well, it's interesting, but it's just not stylistically. It's not really kind of doesn't light a fire underneath me like creatively, but
Right.
yeah, it's fun to play. It's cool to see how it comes together. So it starts there. It starts as this stuff is interesting in music in general. I mean, not only guitar music. I spend decades out here in LA. I studied with orchestration and writing for orchestras and choirs. And,
Right.
I spent a lot of time doing that. So these things are just interesting to me. So that kind of creates over the course of decades a pretty broad knowledge of how this kind of stuff works. So it started there, and then it's cool to see this come together. Like I'm a perfectionist. If I want to put a guitar school together, I don't want it to just be like I don't want to be known as just he's a rocker, he's a shredder. That's all he does. I
He can
like
teach you mad Van Halen licks, and then that's it.
yeah, yeah. So which is great because some people just love that stuff. But I'm a student of music, so it affords me over time to have kind of broader based knowledge um, of this. And then it's really cool to watch, especially online. These are people that I never meet in person. Most of the time, I never even speak to, and they, send me emails every day saying, what they have gotten out of my lessons and all these things. There's people for the free content. There's people, got a lot of people who watch my stuff out of India, and a lot of people just can't afford any type of lessons unless
Right.
halfway decent guitars. But I get emails constantly from places like that where they're just thankful that there's even a way, especially with all the song lessons, just
And then there's
just
that one guy in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky. Hey, you want to do a podcast?
yeah. There's always those idiots, but you deal with it,
God, you gotta
and
hate
you
those guys.
But no, it's cool. It's cool because it's cool that you can have any kind of impact. So it's like the top, as you probably know, the top 100 songs at any given time in the country. Rarely do you ever see a guitar, or it's
No.
even, or definitely not a dominant force in the song or whatever. So,
And if you
um,
do, more times than none anymore, it's synthesized. It's not an actual
yeah,
player.
yeah, or it's a sample on some hip hop track or something like
Right.
that. Uh, and it's was so different from when I started playing. I mean, it was just so much fun to watch all those. I mean, I started playing guitar in the mid '80s, where you turn on MTV and they actually played music, and they
Everyone
had
had a guitar.
yeah, and everybody, all the guitar players on could play. They were like shredders, and just it just looked like a lot of fun, and it was, and it's a very healthy hobby to have. So,
You know, from
um,
from a producer's aspect of it, you know, people are like, "Well, man, why didn't you ever make it further in music? Why didn't you ever make it further?" Well, because at the time I was trying to come up, I was standing outside of the mall every weekend with a pocket full of CDs trying to get someone to listen to my music. Whereas now, kids don't have to. I don't want to say that they don't, but I feel like those same people that are in the top 100 are, they don't have to go through the trials and tribulations of handing out their own CDs. With the internet, you can one click and have your music distributed everywhere. I don't.
yeah,
I think a huge thing missing from the music industry nowadays is musicianship. I mean,
oh yeah.
most people walk into the recording studio. All right, here's your lyrics. Here's the melody. Here's the instrumental. We'll be here till we get it right. There's no actual musicianship left in it, let alone. Now, every now and again, a band will come out, or an older band will come out with new material, and you usually think, man, I wish they wouldn't have. But I'm right there with you. I think music itself is kind of, I don't want to say it's at a sad point, but it's kind of at a sad point. It
Yeah, it's definitely at a completely it it's a different ball game now, because truly anybody can get into it without much effort and without much of anything. It's almost like the best marketers are the most successful ones, not
Oh yeah.
really. um so, and that's one thing about me. I'm a horrible marketer. I'm horrible at social media. I mean, I guess you consider YouTube social media, but when it comes to like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, forget it. I'm horrible at it. Just
Oh, I
I don't.
am miserable.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think about it like that. But you've got these people who can, man, they just have these amazing followings, and they can create. You're like, oh, I do makeup tutorials. Okay, so I got a lot of followers on Instagram. Maybe I want to put out an album. Well, of course that's going to be successful because
You're
it's one of those deals these days.
you're more likely to be successful in the music industry with a business degree or a marketing degree than a degree in any form of musical arts, it
Yeah,
seems like.
you're more likely these days to be more successful as an actual musician if you have a following from somewhere else. If
Oh
you're
yeah.
on a reality TV show or
Let us
something
not
like that.
forget Paris Hilton
Yeah,
did have a top 10 song.
exactly.
There's the proof right there.
Yeah, yeah. So, uh, you know, however these people get famous, there's many ways of doing it, or infamous social media. It's the same thing. I mean, they made themselves known individuals, and then they get into the music game. It seems to me that's the way it works more now. It kind of goes backwards. Um, from where, I mean, I don't follow popular music too much, so I can't. I mean, it's hard to say that bad music's being written out, because my favorite band that ever lived is a band that makes music now and has their more current band. So there is good music out there. It's just you got to find it, but it's actually not hard to find.
No,
Um,
not with the internet, it's not.
yeah, yeah. So
Absolutely not. Me personally, I feel like Okay, you go back. Now I was raised. My father raised me on the Beatles, the Eagles, Skinner, Zeppelin, all those guys. You go back to the Beatles. It takes a certain kind of person to play for 5 hours a night in a sweaty, nasty cavern club in somewhere in Germany. I just feel like there's not as much passion and love in music these days as there was.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think music itself is not, it used to be when people released an album, there was lines at midnight
Oh yeah.
waiting for the thing, and now it just seems like music is not such an event anymore. It's not such a dominant factor in people's lives. It's background music. It's just background noise, and people like their songs, yes, or whatever, but um,
And that's
just
go ahead, sorry.
no, it's just something I see from the small percentage of people that actually get to meet. It could be friends of my fiance or whatever, and you just kind of just see how they are, their basic music listening habits, and it's sad because they don't really seek out music as a it's just kind of there.
Well, I think
um
a lot of that has to do with how easily music can be created now. There's no build up anymore. How long did it take Skinner to record a record? How long did it take Zeppelin to record a record? So by the time you got tired of listening to the old one, you're anticipating waiting for the next one. But music can
mhm,
be created so fast nowadays. I
yeah,
mean, I could get off the phone with you right now, build an instrumental, write lyrics, and have a song out by tomorrow morning.
yeah,
It's not the same, and that's one thing that I have a lot of respect for you for is you can tell that you're still just passionate about music. You're passionate about teaching music, and you're passionate about keeping music alive in newer generations, or like I said in the email, even older generations that may have waited a little later in life to learn. So,
mhm.
it's amazing to me how what helps you to keep that passion. Is it still just the all never wanting to stop learning that helps keep it going, or is it feedback from your fans and comments and stuff like that?
Well, it's good to obviously get have a positive influence in somebody's life that you've never even met, and you're doing something that is you feel is worthwhile, because like we just this whole past 10 minutes we've been talking about how we wish that uh, music could go into this realm of, man, wouldn't it be great if we just celebrated people that really pursued with a passion, and like mastered their instruments and mastered their art, and then gave it back to the people. But that's not the people we celebrate.
No.
So it's partly that, and then I can tell you, as a person who's been teaching for a long time, when you try to assimilate when you kind of study years and years go through, and you study, and then you figure out ways of assimilating what you've learned
Right.
into something that somebody can understand. You understand that at such a higher level than if you just kind of studied it and you never really kind of applied it in any way. But getting something down to the point to where you can simplify it for somebody,
Hmm.
it makes you such a better musician. So that's, to me, that is kind of fun to kind of do these courses. Like, real passionate about like ear training and theory on my academy, and I'm building this big ear training course, and just trying to take the mystery out of how to hear music. And
I
because that's the
think
question.
years of being in choir for ear training. I don't
Well,
even, but they've cut music out of schools for the most part. I don't even think my middle or high school still has choir.
wow.
But sorry to interrupt. But you continue with what you were saying.
No, I mean, it's just things like that, um, that I've these things that I've had a lot of great teachers myself. I kind of sought out really great musicians and
from everything from, from just musicianship training, like in theory training, to, classical guitar or whatever, and just kind of taking that all and putting it together and in a nice, neat little package that somebody can just go on and you can kind of strip it down to, okay, I went through a bunch of different ear training methods. I did this and this and this. This is what worked for me.
Right.
So that is kind of a cool thing to do, but I would not, if I didn't go through all that and study all these different ways of hearing music and practicing different ways of hearing music, I wouldn't have found that other, the little bits that kind of really had massive improvements of my musicianship. So anyway, and then to put that together and be able to, get people to start being able to, study music in a really rewarding way. They can feel like they're developing quickly.
Right. And that's one thing that I will say about your videos and about your teaching ability. You'll take incredibly hard things and you have developed a way to make it seem simple and easy to learn. And I think that is one thing, if I had to guess, that has attributed to your success with your channels and with your lessons, is the fact that, holy shit, I just learned an Eric Clapton song in 8 minutes. Now, am I going to have to go back and watch it to remember which part goes where? Probably. But you can get the base feel of it. And the videos and lessons don't feel rushed. But one thing that I've noticed with myself is like, okay, I'm learning stuff quickly here. And that does feel very rewarding.
Yeah, it's it's kind of it's funny too, the majority of comments that you especially get on YouTube stuff, especially song lessons. I'm kind of known as that guy who doesn't really dumb it down. I don't do like simplified versions of songs.
Oh, absolutely not. I didn't mean it to sound that way.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah. No. It seems like you're right. It's kind of like one of these. But so half the people, like who you're talking about, like I'm learning this really quickly. Some people are like, you're going too fast, you're going too slow, but at the same time, it's like it's an impossible. I mean, if people really thought about, you look at the video count here. There's say 1 million people have watched this video. Every single one of them is a different level. So some people think I'm just dragging ass. I'm not. I'm just going slow. And some people are like, "Man, geez, quit! Are you in a hurry?" So it's
Hold
really
on,
like
Carl. Let's back it up a little bit.
It's an unwinnable thing. So I pretty much just put it out there, pace it the way that I think that a person that's playing this song, that you should be at this level if you're trying to learn this song anyway. They can get it in a reasonable, they might have to stop the video while they practice the part, but
that's exactly what I was meaning. I wasn't meaning that you simplify the songs or anything, but you have found a method of teaching that just makes it easy to learn. It's not that you're simplifying the song or the lesson, but it's the way you teach it that I feel is very easy to follow along with. Yeah. Now, I'm going to have to rewind a couple times. Hold on. What'd you do right there? But nevertheless, they feel easy to learn. You make it fun and you make it seem easy. And then you realize what you're playing after and you're like, that ain't easy. Damn. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing too. Is like, I don't, our channel is just, especially the song lessons, it's like, there'll be the simplest thing up there and then like an entire mega song, just it's just crazy stuff. So that's kind of, I've started to kind of accept that I'm not going to have a big, huge, the most popular ones out there are the ones that really cater towards beginners,
Right.
So, I mean, because the beginner market is 99% of the guitar market,
Absolutely. Every beginner wants to know a couple of songs to impress the friends with.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's what I'm talking about. I don't. That's why I was like, I've done it a couple times, but I've kind of accepted the fact that I guess I'm just not that guy that's gonna sit back and I'm going to try to simplify this song and let you play it. And this is not how they play it, but it'll sound kind of like it if somebody's singing over it.
It'll be close. If they're not really listening,
yeah,
it'll sound
yeah,
perfect.
yeah. So it's more fun to me to try to get it right. And I mean, there's not right or wrong. I mean, it's cool to have kind of stripped down versions of things too. So and I'm not saying anything negatively against this guys. It's just that it's obvious if I did that on my channel, I'd be eaten alive because none of my subscribers really want that from me. They want a complete Dream Theater track note for note.
Oh yeah.
They don't expect me to really, kind of create these simple arrangements of,
The
Silent Night and
well,
stuff.
he kind of does this sort of thing, but I'm not exactly sure. Those guys, I mean, yes, it may be easier, but what was it? My grandfather always used to tell me, no one ever succeeds fully taking the easy road, or something along those lines. So I'm like, damn, I guess I have to learn the Heartbreaker solo correctly then.
Yeah, yeah. I get if I put out a song lesson and I didn't teach the guitar solo, I get oh man, I wouldn't be able to get this. I would just be so much blowback from it, just because of that's where I put myself into. There's very popular teachers out there that they'll try to play a song, but they never tackle solos or any kind of intricate parts of the song.
Those are
Um,
hard. That's why.
it's a lot more into it if you got to do all that stuff. So, but that's just maybe if I did it all over again, I'd do it like them and make it a little bit easier on myself. But at the same time, you just kind of accept what we are and just keep plugging away. And the good thing is, though, we get a lot of it. It helps my Guitar Academy because the people who usually follow my channel are serious players. So those are
Right.
the ones that stick with it for extended period of time. It's not a beginner who I'm going to subscribe to this guy because he's got a lot of subscribers and 2 months later they're not even a guitar player anymore.
Right. The $150 Fender Special, and then it's a coaster a month
Yeah.
later. That
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
I know some of those guys.
But I will say anybody that's doing this stuff because it's hard. Like there's a lot of there's I'm sure many popular names that are teaching guitar on YouTube, and
Right.
every single one of them is awesome for doing what they do because they're getting more people playing, people that people relate to them a lot better than they do me, and it helps us all. If somebody's I've said it before because everybody thinks, oh, you're in competition with Marty. I'm like, no way. Because first of all, I'm sure the fact that Marty Schwartz exists has increased my subscriber,
Right.
many because he brings a lot of people in. He's really good at marketing and social media. He's a funny guy. He's laid back. He's a nice dude. So he brings a lot of people in. And as they start, learning stuff, they might want to go do some Metallica, and then they're going to find my channel, from
Right.
it. So
Right.
it's a cool process.
I don't think that's something that people realize. Just because two people are in the same field doesn't automatically make them competition. I feel like people that are musicians, people that actually take the time to hone the craft, there's a common respect for each other. Like
Yeah.
you and Marty or Tyler Larson, one of those fellas. You all are all great guitarists. You all have a different style of doing videos. But it's not like you're going to see Marty Schwartz on the street and be like, yo, I don't like your channel. And then, just start swinging in the streets. I think I think the world wants drama and they want people to constantly be in competition. But it's really cool to hear, you speak so highly of your peers in the same field as you, to help people understand. Hey, we both went through this same shit to learn these things. So there's a common ground and common respect.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I think that's very cool.
And you can see, I mean, it's like I said, it's a difficult thing. I mean, people starting and trying to get any kind of foothold in YouTube. So if somebody does, it's a hell of an accomplishment because it's hard.
Well, and I mean, I've learned that in the podcast world. It's like, Huh. You mean we decided to start a podcast because we were bored at work one night? Okay, well, I guess I'm going to take my producing skills to podcasting. And it is difficult to build, especially when you're as bad at social media as I am. So, and YouTube is so much larger of a platform. I mean, hell, people release their podcasts on YouTube. So
Yeah.
it has to be difficult. And I mean, for you guys to get in the door and to be able to have the success you all have had is an amazing thing.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's cool, especially you have like a major label that contacts you and wants you. They're trying to break a new band, and they're like, "Can you teach their song?" And I'm like, "Wow, things have drastically changed than they were." You know,
How about I just play the song and y'all pay me?
yeah. It's like,
Let's do that. I'm a really good studio musician for the right amount of funds.
yeah. They don't need those guys anymore either. They
Yeah.
can just like,
No, Jimmy Page would not have a job nowadays.
Nope.
All right, so let me looking back through your videos, you said you're not a guitar collector. If you're not using them, you get rid of them or you sell them or whatever have you.
I don't get rid of. I don't necessarily. I mean, I have sold a lot of guitars. I mean, I'm fortunate enough that I get a lot of free guitars, and so I usually keep those around just in case the company wants me to,
Do a promo
play
or
them
something.
somewhere else. Yeah, stuff like
Right.
that. But the ones I use, to tell you the truth, I literally I don't sell them because it's such a to do. I gotta deal with shipping, and so if I was really hungry for money, I'd probably sell.
By the
I'm
way,
just like,
everybody should check out Carl Brown's merchandise section and buy stuff.
well, luckily, are you talking about the shirts?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. I don't have to ship them. So.
Oh, well, hell. Never mind. Still go buy his shirts, though.
Yeah, go buy the shirt. Yeah, I don't do it. So yeah, I mean, I keep them around. There's a lot of, I have guitars, but like I said, there's a few that I actually play a lot. And,
Right.
that's about it.
Well,
But,
how many guitars do you think a player really needs?
well, if I was if you're a classical guitarist, one nice guitar. If you're a bluegrass, one nice
Banjo.
steel string. Yeah. So it's really
One nice wash bucket and a shoelace.
yeah. It's like I've always been a Strat guy. I've always played Strats, but I like doing it, but they're not like the most high performance guitarists in the world, unless you're into. It's kind of one of these things where, for a lot of music that I like recording now, it's, I like a little bit of a flatter fretboards,
Right.
some a bit easier to do all the gymnastic stuff I want to do. So that, those are, a few manufacturers that I'll play, like my Ibanez, Ernie Ball, Music Man stuff, that. So it's really when I'm playing, when I'm in the mood to play, I'll grab.
See, I tell my wife the same thing. And then she tells me, well, you don't need another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't judge me right now. I need one for standard tuning, one for drop D, one for drop E.
Oh, yeah.
I need an acoustic. I need a 12-string just in case. And of course, as a guitarist, I have to have one bass just because I know how to play two songs on it. But so pretty much it just depends on what I guess what you're saying. It depends on the player, depends on how many guitars you may need or you should have.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that are really they're tone hounds. They love all the little tonal intricacies of guitars and
Billy
pedals
Gibbons.
and all that. Yeah, and for guys like that, and it changes the way they play when they pick up a different, and then there's guys like me that I've never really chased that. I like a tone that's easy to play,
Right.
and I just run with it. I I'm not somebody who just really obsesses about all these little things and stuff. So for me, pretending on the style of music, if I'm doing a more harder, kind of a more metal-y type thing, I like something like a Music Man or an Ibanez. But if I'm doing some Pink Floyd or some jamming out some blues stuff, I'm going to grab my Strat. It's just it feels right. I don't know why.
For me with blues, I go for my 355 or my 335, not my 355. It's been a long day. I go for I go for that for blues, and for my heavier stuff, I go towards my Les Paul. That's just my opinion. See, so she can't argue that I may need to buy a Strat.
Yeah.
Two different players, two different styles, one that's a lot better than the other one. He even agreed that I may need more guitars.
Yeah.
but I think at this day and age, though, and it's the same thing with golf. I was talking to the pro at my course about this. It's hard to get people into it just because the product never really changes much, but the price tag continues to go up. Do you feel like that's a similar issue with guitars?
Yeah, actually, I talked to my golf coach about this. Just today, actually, I had a lesson earlier today, and I was just like,
nice.
And it'd be really great because I bought a whole new, got all fitted for a whole new set. Just
they get you with those
summer.
extras.
Yeah, and just I have some on the course. I can have some bad moments where a couple of shafts will get snapped in half. And, I got to replace those. So it gets really expensive. And I was like, man, if I could just figure out a way to get golf gear free like I do guitar gear, I'd be set because this stuff is costing me a fortune.
Coming next, Golf Lessons 365 by Carl Brown.
Yeah, I was like, don't you want a Titleist hat and give me some free gear? So, yeah, that's it is, golf gear. I mean, it's the same thing though. People get really passionate about their there's weekend warriors and they just will play stuff that's 30 years old. But the guys that are really passionate about it, trying to improve and get better, yeah, they're chasing. The new latest driver's going to come out and it'll fix my over-the-top swing. It's not going to fix your over-the-top swing.
No. I learned quickly that $600 on a new TaylorMade driver does not change my swing. I still have this same shitty swing, just with a really nice golf club now.
Yeah. The only thing is you show up with a really nice set at the range, and everybody's like, oh, man, I got to play. And then you're like, no, I'm just in over my head here. That's all it really is.
I'm just here. My clubs are nice. All right. Well, before we jump into golf, do you have a top 5 guitarists?
I do, but I always say that. It's funny when I talk about like who I think the best guitar players are. It's really just more of the ones that have had the biggest impression on me, obviously, because
right.
Just it doesn't even mean that I listen to their current music right now. It's when I was 14 that they were my entire world back then, and that was a really developmental time. Yeah. So I mean, with these, it would be guys like Steve Vai, which, Steve Vai for me when I was like 14, 15, 16, he was just, I wanted to be him so bad. It was just, he was just the coolest. He still is just the coolest. Just how he carried himself. The music was mind blowing, and the playing was awesome. So,
not to mention his guitars were always so entertaining and colorful.
Yeah. I mean, there was just everything was just really just excited me about it. Nuno Bettencourt is just huge to me. You don't hear too much. Obviously people know who Nuno Bettencourt is, but he's not like
he's
the
not
house. Yeah,
the household, the Jimi Hendrix or the Jimmy
yeah,
Page or Van Halen. Right, right.
yeah. And if I could say that you could play like one guitar player the rest of your life, I'd probably say, all right, Nuno Bettencourt. I want to be
Right.
Nuno Bettencourt. I don't know. It's just really, he's just, he's just incredible. Eric Johnson, he's always, to me, just been like the consummate guitar player. He's like the guitar player's guitar player. He could do everything, and I've seen him live a few times, and he's just insane.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, Eric Johnson. I would definitely, if I had to put together a top 10 for sure for me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and then on a different level, David Gilmour is very big for me. I mean, I know
Right.
he's not a shredder like those other guys,
There was a
but
feel to David Gilmour though.
yeah,
It was
you
less
know what?
about the shredding.
Yeah, he's a favorite of a lot of shredders, and I think it's just something about David Gilmour and what he's done, which is funny too, because I never really got into Pink Floyd until I was probably in my 20s. I never listened to them when I was like a teenager,
Right.
and the first time I got into them was Division Bell, and I just thought this was so that's was my introduction to Pink Floyd, and I thought it was just a beautiful album with just incredible guitar solos, and went back and oh my god, they got all these other.
Right.
Um,
You mean they've been
so
doing this for 30 years already?
yeah,
One of those
wow.
moments. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's and then the fifth one is, I mean, those four guys are my pillars, and then the fifth one, it changes on the day. It could be, you know,
Just depending on what song hits the mood right.
yeah. I mean, there's sometimes it just becomes these guys. From there, it's just guys that I just think are just just phenomenal, like Guthrie Govan and Marty Friedman and guys like that are just they're just wired differently than everybody else, and
Oh yeah.
those guys are really, and even some guys on YouTube like Rick Graham. I think he's just so fun to watch play guitar. I love watching him play. I've never actually heard any of his music. I follow on Instagram and he'll play a lick for 60 seconds. So I'm just like, that is the funnest thing. How does he keep coming up with this stuff?
You know,
It's just he's inspiring player.
that that was like this. My wife, she watches all those game show like the American Idol and stuff. And there was a guy on American Idol. I was sitting there. I was working on something, and this guy starts playing, and I'm just looking at the TV. I can't even remember the guy's name. He ended up finishing second. I just sat there and looked at this guy. I'm like, I couldn't comprehend what he was even playing. I was like, this may be the greatest guitarist I've ever seen.
Yeah,
And I wish I could remember the guy's name and you could check him out. I honestly think you would be impressed by this man's ability. And then they put him behind a piano and he does the same thing. I'm like, holy shit. That's why I didn't make it in music. Okay, you win. But
oh, that's another person. Sean Lane, huge. Sean Lane is a huge one too. Because you mentioned piano. Sean
right.
Lane is the most incredible guitar player, but he also is an amazing pianist, amazing drummer. Just incredible. So yeah, him. And then just like I said, I'll be listening to. I get into stages and I'll listen to jazz for like just kind of strictly for a couple weeks. And I'll be going, oh my God, Joe Pass is the greatest thing that ever lived. And this is just it really depends on the
I,
moment which is good.
I think it's safe to always leave that last spot open for changes.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's important. So I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I gotta get a couple of good golf questions in there, man. I read on the Twitter, so you're an 8.3 handicap golfer, correct? Was it 8.3?
I need to update. It was 8.3 last summer. Uh, I've run into some issues with my golf game, but so it basically, um,
8.2. I would leave it. Leave it as a mark to
yeah,
get back to.
I haven't updated it. Yeah, I'll be there in probably like a couple more months. But yeah, I got there,
and started taking it seriously. Started taking lessons. Got a great coach over here, and something just got into my head. My game just throughout the year just going worse and worse and worse. So, but a couple months ago, I went and got just started up at Golf Tech, and that my coach there and that stuff is just really working for me. So now I'm quickly getting back to an 8, and then I want to go much further than that. But it's finally starting to look good. Yeah, it's finally going in the right direction again.
So, what brand clubs or balls do you use?
I have as you mentioned, I have the TaylorMade M4 driver, and
so do I.
Yeah. I got all fitted last summer. Now they've come out with better stuff. It's like infused with gel. I don't know what it is.
The injected twist face. You know what? Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I get a new driver every year. I gotten a new driver for Christmas last year, and then my wife surprised me with the M4 mid-season, so I'm not to that point of needing a new one. I demoed the M5 and M6 with the injected twist face, faster this, faster that. I got about a yard more. I got about a mile an hour more swing speed, or a mile an hour more ball speed, and only about a yard more. So I'm like, dang, I have no argument for that. Now, I mean, I guess if it was a drive that was worth $1 million, I would have an argument to spend $600 to gain a yard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't right now, though.
Yeah. I mean that. I I have the M4 driver and the 3-wood, and then the rest of the bag, the hybrid on down, is Titleist.
Are we playing blades or cavities?
AP2. I got AP2s. Okay. So, and then I got the Vokey wedges, and I do have a. I mean, that's if I. It's funny because since I am at Golf Tech constantly throughout the week, and big thing they do there is fittings.
Yeah.
So I can hear people getting fitted. And their reactions when they're just trying all these different drivers, and so you can I hear that just every practice session. I just see these people getting fitted, and you can kind of start seeing it's like, oh man, this driver seems to be the one that's always flying off the shelf in here, So
right.
I'm keeping my ear out for like, okay, when I go by, because it seems to be like new Titleist TS drivers are like the ones that are having the best
success this year.
Yeah.
And I want to say Titleist is the only one that didn't jack their price up by almost $100 as well. That may have a factor in it.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I'll get this down right now. I'm happy with my gear. I'm just practicing funny thing is, we're talking about my brother Ted. He's a better golfer than me, which is irritating. So
I can imagine having a twin brother that looks just like you and can just look you in the eyes. I'm better.
Yeah. Well, he had a little bit more experience in golfing. He's always been kind of a little more of an athlete than me. He's always, I always say I'm the fat twin. I'm not fat, but compared to him, so it's just we just kind of joke around that. But yeah, so it's been good to finally, just recently, finding my game again and going out and starting to, take some rounds from him.
You're also in that year-round decent Cali weather. Now I think it's actually hotter here in Kentucky today than it was in California.
Yeah. Well, I'm in like in Ventura, the Oxnard area, so that's
right.
To me, I think it's probably the best weather in the entire country. I mean, it never gets in the summer. It rarely gets up, above the low 80s here, and in the winter, it doesn't really get, the highs for the day would never be past like lower than like 65. So it's kind of always just kind of sticks right here. It's a little breezy, which sucks to play in, but other than that.
I have a pair of cart mittens. It gets so cold here. Now, if it's 35 and above, I'll play. Anything under that, no, not a chance. I did make the mistake. It was like, all right, 36 degrees and forgot to check the wind chill, and it was actually 12. That was bad.
Ugh.
Um, but
Uh-uh.
have you ever got the ever elusive hole in one yet?
No, no, I've not. I haven't been at it too long, so I've I've literally been playing for 3.5 years. I mean, just playing period. I haven't even didn't start taking lessons till last year, so I didn't start taking it seriously till last year. So I haven't been able to get the. You know what? To tell you the truth, most of the guys that get holes in ones, the weekend warrior guys,
Oh yeah,
it's usually a bad shot. It's like a worm burner that just kind of works
bounced
its
off
way up
of
there.
the
Yeah,
bounced off the rocks on the hole next to it, hit a flag stick, a gopher, and then went
yeah,
in the hole.
yeah.
Which
It's not one that clipped well and it landed and backed up 8 feet into the hole. It ain't
right.
that.
I mean, and I play a lot. I live about probably 8 minutes from the course I belong to. So I get out there and I play by myself quite a bit. And I'm just always terrified. I'm like, this is going to be the time I get a hole in one when I'm by myself. And it's going to be the
Yeah.
whole, if nobody's around to hear the tree fall, did it make a sound?
Yeah.
That's what I'm terrified of. But, all right. Well, what's the best round you've ever shot?
I 79 at this
Nice.
Coursera in Buena, and it it's not the most. Yeah, it's got probably the easiest course that we play. There's a course here, right here in my neighborhood, that is really difficult to play. And they do a lot of like U.S. Open, like kind of
Qualifiers and
qualifying and
things. Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
Hmm.
and they have a lot of college tournaments out here, and man, it's a beautiful course, but man, it is tough. And so that's the one I'm really trying. It's great to see me and my brother. He's big at always playing from the tips, and I'm like, uh, and so, but I gotta if I'm competing with him, I gotta go back there and play and hit from there. So it's a great course because it's such a slope rating so high on it that I can if I can score even anywhere in the mid 80s. It's like a
Right.
handicap index of like a 6. It's the index, so it really helps the index out if you can get a decent score on it. But
See, with me, I don't count my home course. The lowest round I've ever shot was a 76, which is four over. But that's at my home course that I play 4 or 5 times a week. Now, not so much this year. We just had a new baby, so I haven't got to play 4 or 5 times a week this year. So I don't count those scores, but my lowest overall at a course that I'm not 1,000% used to is also a 79, and that was at
hmm,
it's a U.S. Open qualifier that's right around the way from my house. Everybody talks about it being a difficult course, but if it's in good condition, I'm like, it ain't that bad.
Yeah,
But
yeah. The thing too is it doesn't really matter the course. If you're hitting the ball decent, you're gonna score decent. It's
exactly.
it's not the course that's blowing up your score. Because like the easier courses in the area, like talk to the Buena, the one that I have the 79 on. It's a higher shooting an 81. Um, uh, like another course that's across the street from it, and I mean right in this like within 10 minutes of my house, we have 5 golf courses, really nice golf courses. So
Nice.
it's
so it's not a bad place to be, but it's but you just got to shoot so low on those like easier courses just to improve your handicap. So I'd rather go and play something like I'm going to play this hard course on Monday, and just you know if I could just shoot in the mid 80s, it's literally probably a 6 or 7 index. So that's good for me. It'll lower the scores. It'll get it going in the right
Exactly.
direction.
And that's all you can do, man. So I mean, I know
Yeah.
I'm but I'm not going to take up any more of your time, man, but again, I do appreciate greatly you taking the time to sit down and talk music and guitars and golf. Who doesn't
I
love
appreciate it.
golf and music? Probably
Most people don't. That's the problem.
those people are probably communist.
Yeah, my music friends don't like sports at all. My golf friends, have zero clue on what I do with the rest of my day. They're just like, "So you play guitar on the internet?" I don't get it, you know. So,
I don't
yeah,
get
man,
that.
that's
I was trying to explain to my father earlier what a podcast actually is. He's like, "What do you get out of that? Relief from boredom."
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but again, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. Uh, man, if you ever make your way around Kentucky or Nashville, uh, shoot me a text. We'll play around. Or if I ever make
Yeah.
my way out your way, I might shoot you a text, see if you want to play around. I'm actually
Yeah.
planning to be in LA this summer of 2020. Um, we
That's
just, what's that?
I'm about we're up here about I'm in Ventura County about an hour. I don't know, maybe a little over an hour. About an hour north of LA now. A lot better area, like the Valley, LA.
Right. I
I
live.
lived there for uh, 11 years or so, so it's enough for me.
I had family in San Bernardino, so I've got to see LA, but it was at a different point in my life, and I don't remember it, to say the least. But I heard I had a great time. Um, so anyway, one way or another, if we ever cross paths somewhere across the country, man, we'll have to get together and play a round of golf. Um, People can find you on the social media where?
Oh man. Well, obviously YouTube. You just Guitar Lessons 365. Um, just, yeah, well, if you just type that in, it'll bring up a couple of YouTube channels. But if you type in Carl Brown Guitar, you'll get everything. My website, the YouTube, everything. But yeah, I mean that's probably the easiest. See, I'm a bad marketer. See, um,
Well, I
but
kind of put you on the spot there, so.
yeah, the main thing, the easiest way to see what I do is go to guitarlessons365.com. That's all the YouTube videos are there as well. They're a lot better organized than they are on YouTube. And as long as my guitar academy is there as well. And I do live events there every Saturday. So, with academy members, so they can ask me questions and I'll answer it. And we got a great community there. And it's the easiest way to see what I do, get in touch with me, just like you did.
Hey, I'm that annoying guy in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky, that emailed him about doing a podcast. If nobody caught that one, um, but yes, do yourself a favor. Anybody that is not familiar with Carl Brown, go find out about the man. I don't like people, but I like this guy. Again, he's an amazing guitarist, amazing guitar teacher. Um, Go find his social media, go to his website, subscribe to his page, go buy his merchandise because he doesn't have to do the shipping for it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
uh, Anything that involves him doing shipping, don't bother the guy with it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not. If I'm selling a guitar on eBay, don't buy it because they're not gonna ship it to you.
Chances are he probably really doesn't want to get rid of it anyway, but if his fiance is anything like my wife, do you really need this guitar? Do you really
Yeah,
need to have 6 sets worth of clubs sitting around the house?
yeah. Well, the thing with mine is she doesn't know the difference. The guitar is a guitar. Clubs are clubs. I could bring a new song home every single day. It looks the same as the other ones. I just don't tell her they're new.
No, golf clubs are a little easier to hide. But actually, my mass quantity of I might use these or might sell these clubs came in handy. I was at a flea market and took an old set of clubs I had and traded them for like a 90-year-old set of hickory sticks. So I've got a set of steel head and hickory shaft leather wrapped golf clubs still sitting in the closet collecting dust. But not everybody has those collecting dust. Um, but again, to everybody out there, go find if you play guitar and want to get better, or if you don't play guitar but you think you might kind of want to play guitar, go play guitar, and then go holler at my guy Carl Brown for guitarlessons365.com. You can find me at Jake LeMaster10 on Instagram, at Jake LeMaster10 on Twitter. I official GHB on Instagram and Twitter. You can download the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, every large releasing format. I can't remember them all. So, again, send love Carl's way. Go buy things from him. Subscribe to his stuff and buy a membership. All of that good stuff. Watch his videos. Learn to play guitar. Yeah, I think that's it. Unless you have anything else that you want to put out there.
No, I think you got it. I think you hit all checked all the boxes there.
All right, man. Well, Carl, I appreciate it. Thank you for the great conversation and the time, sir.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
All right, man. See ya.
All right.